Okay.
Okay. Call to order, 7:03, January 20th. May we all rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, people. Let's hope those blues continue to ring true in this historic day in our history. May we have the roll call, please?
Chairman Lovey.
Here.
Board Member Guglielmetti.
Here.
Board Member Michaels.
Here.
Board Member Nissel.
Here.
Board Member Williams.
Present.
Make an announcement.
Full house.
All town meetings are now closed to general public. We have live feed on channel 23 through Spectrum Cable. 2 days later, the videos are all uploaded to our YouTube channel. Telephone teleconference options have been enabled for all town meetings. Call 688-5004 during the public comment period to call in a question or concern.
Okay. Do we have any amendments to the minutes as presented? May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Joe moves, Jerry seconds. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, minutes accepted as submitted. Thank you. So the first person on the agenda is Mrs. Thomas Malloy. That's you guys, right? You want to come forward and tell us what your application is about?
Thank you for giving us a chance to talk. We live in Mount Tremper, and we are looking for a privacy fence, a waiver to make it a 6-foot fence, so that the husband's work stuff is secreted behind that and not visible by the road, just on one side of our driveway.
And so you're around 28, just on the other side of the new bridge construction. Is that the old Lucky Chocolates?
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Well, what's the
We
address?
bought it from Rice.
5207?
Thank you.
Okay, so there's no existing fence now, as I recall?
The next property over has a 6-foot high fence that is alongside the road.
Which we would meet up to on our property line. There's a low fence on the eastern side of the driveway.
You know, a small 4-foot picket fence.
Yeah.
Around the yard, but we're looking for a 6-foot privacy fence to hide the construction stuff, so it can be nice.
All right. Do you have an end loader, I think you saw? Or
What's that?
Do you have an end loader in the backyard, or do you have construction equipment in the backyard?
No loaders or anything, just I do carpentry and I have trailers and such.
Wood and storage and
Equipment.
And then how far is the fence from the road?
Well, let's see, what you call the white line of the road, is that the center line of the road?
The white line is the,
I got it.
on the
no,
sidelines.
At the curb,
40?
right? Yeah.
What would be a curve if we had curves, yes.
Okay, that would be what I would call the fog line.
The what?
Fog, F-O-G line.
Okay.
bottom
Fog
line,
line.
sure.
I've been learning a lot in
It's
this process.
the
but
line
it's still
closest
a
to the
little long.
shoulder.
Yeah, that's normally so plow truck drivers can get some bearing on where they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
fog
drivers
line.
during fog, rain, snow.
Okay, so you're, let's see,
47.
47 feet from the fog line. And let's see.
That's going to be a 60-foot long fence.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you guys familiar with that property?
Yeah, right, it's across from Chapel Hill Farms, pretty much.
It's
Down a little bit, it's
Little
across
past
from what used to be
between Higley's
Farm.
and Tremper Hill.
Directly across from Higley's Hill.
But on the side of the road with that little blue, I think it was a bus stop stand, I don't know.
That's gone.
Yeah.
But that's
Yes,
where it was.
That's where it
That's
was.
where it
Yeah.
was.
The fence will start in that area going toward, west towards the Phoenicia.
One of the kids
Is-
knew where they lived.
Yeah,
Is that where the trailer is parked on the road, where the cones are?
yes,
It was.
it
It's
was,
not
it's
there
not there right now. But that, yeah, it's the property.
So the governing reg is, Reg 116-26, paragraph A, in any residential district, and you guys are R15, fences and walls shall not exceed 6 feet in height when erected in the required side or rear yard, nor exceed 4 feet in height when erected within 25 feet of the front lot line or highway right-of-way, except agricultural fencing, which may be 5 feet in height. So you're beyond the 25 feet, the front lot line, maybe not.
As it was explained to us, it wasn't on the side of the house, it's in the front of the house, so I would need the variance.
Well,
Now,
there's, the front lot line isn't at the edge of the road, it's set back, how many feet? 10 feet, 15?
25 feet from the front lot line.
Yeah, but where's the front lot line from the edge of the road? This is the kind of thing Howie knows.
I think it's 25 feet from the
Is it
center.
25 feet from the center of the
center.
road? That's, yeah, 25 feet from the center to the front of the lot line.
Well,
the DOT right away.
on 28.
Yeah, that's what's.
Yeah.
Just don't.
we are farther back than the marker that is on the side of the road for the state, what they're allowed to come to.
The state right away.
The state, I didn't measure it from the state right away, but I guess
That would be,
somewhere between 8 and 12, maybe longer away from that.
Isn't that road going to be moved over a little bit towards you as it goes up over
It's
the
gonna
bridge?
come back, where the trailer was parked
Yeah.
was the shoulder. Now my shoulder is out even further because of the barrels. So I'm sure when they're done, they'll recenter the lane to give a shoulder on both sides, because right now there is no shoulder on the westward side.
The side opposite your house.
Traveling west, yes,
Yeah.
opposite my house.
Yeah.
We're in that situation, a lot of homeowners on the Esopus are in where we have the driveway area, which is all up front, and then drainage ditch, and then beyond that, it's all floodplain.
It's all floodplain.
And so
the
we
only
aren't
usable
really able
property
to
I
put
have-
anything back there.
Your lot goes all the way back to the river?
Ours goes
Yeah.
back into the river.
Into the
actually.
river, and the property gets smaller every time we have a flood. So like, for example, on Christmas Day, it was all water, so we're not able to put it back there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so it's a privacy issue for you, but it's a beautification issue for the community.
Yes, the town has requested we do this.
Yeah.
So the town requested?
Well,
Well, the building inspector.
the building inspector said we would have to get the variance in order to do it, so that I would be
And
able to put
that would satisfy
my-
his needs.
his needs to,
Yeah.
because my
And we
yard,
can make it work.
I clean it up, it gets dirty, it cleans up, it gets dirty, you know, I tried,
Like my yard.
you know.
Is your property deemed residential and commercial?
There was a commercial,
We're not working it, he's not working out of the property.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that.
It's
You'd
just
have to
residential
tell
as
me,
far as I know, unless Al Higley accomplished what he was trying to accomplish.
it's classified as
Since
residential.
he closed, he didn't,
what?
Yeah, R15.
Yeah, classified as residential 1.
But in the case of your property, the whatever variance was given for the chocolate factory would technically be grandfathered in, right?
I would imagine we are allowed to have a small
Was it a
business,
special use
It's nothing to do
permit?
with that.
He's not using
Only-
it.
only if it's-
but I'm not using it
He's
as.
not using the commercial, he's a resident. He doesn't do anything on the commercial.
Okay, well, it sounds like a no-brainer to me. It's a win-win situation, privacy for them and beautification for the hood. What's the design of the fence?
It's just just a privacy fence that.
Stockade?
What?
very much
Stockade?
stockade.
Very much
And I
like
was hoping-
stockade, I might be
I was
able,
hoping to do some landscaping in the spring to kind of make it, there's a really nice tree that it would offset there, an oak, I think,
a maple.
maple. So I think we'll try to make it looking nice there,
Is
So it'd be
the,
beyond the maple tree.
behind it.
Oh,
It's gonna be
Away from the road.
behind the maple tree
I don't see
closer.
what there's any issue.
Yeah.
would the good side of the fence be facing the road?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just, what I most likely will do is put up 4x4s and then, use a 2x4 structure behind it, and then possibly even use pine board, like my other side yard. I have, on the other side of my house, I have a fenced-in area for the dog. So I might even just match that versus buying stockade fence. That almost doubled in price in this last year.
Similar to what they have down in Boyceville, with that long fence.
Right, yeah.
Very similar, like
You can-
there's
you
a
can
little scallop, you know,
Yeah.
if you go past my
You can see it
house.
from the road now, along the house line on the Kingston side of the house. If you were driving to Kingston, you can see it inside the blue picket fence. It's actually, it's an attractive, solid wood fence with a little detail on top, so it's a little more permanent
Yeah.
looking and decorative than a stockade,
So
if that would be.
it would either be the stockade, or I will just mimic what I already have on the other side of my house, which, like I said, is just a little scallop over the, you know,
Nice.
and it'll be 1x6 pine board.
If you go with local rough cut, you're gonna save yourself some money.
Excuse me?
If you go with local rough cut lumber,
Yes, I have friends that have mills.
yeah, and hemlock.
Some of our
wood-
lumber disappeared on Christmas Day.
Hemlock weather's a bit better than pine.
What?
Hemlock weather's.
Weather's better than pine. I might even get locust. That's 40 plus years.
That's an old farmer trick.
Well, aesthetics is important because you guys have kind of a signature property entering our beautiful community here. So before we can do a ruling, we need to have a public hearing that's not on discrimination, that's part of New York State law, which we will publicly announce, and we have to send a letter to the abutting property owners to give them an opportunity to voice an objection or support.
Yeah,
Public hearings,
we're-
that will be next month. So before we close this hearing, does anybody have any further questions?
Can we open up the phones? Just would give them the phone number, 5004, in case anybody has any questions. while they're
For
here.
now, or yeah.
Sure,
If you
phone
can
line's
in fact
open.
do that.
You can call 845-688-5004 if you have any questions, and then we'll move on. You can keep talking, see if they call.
Okay. I have no more questions. So.
Do you guys schedule your public hearings for 6:45, or do you start them at 7 o'clock?
7.
7, thank you.
And that'll be next month, or what day?
The meeting schedule's on your folder.
Okay.
It'll be,
March 17th.
We'll get it on the website.
17th.
March 17th.
Okay, thank you.
7 o'clock.
Sorry, February, I'm ahead.
Oh,
February
sorry,
17th.
February 17th. It'll go right along
It's
with
the
it.
third Wednesday every month.
Okay.
February 7th,
So,
7 p.m.
okay, well, thank you for your cooperation.
Thank
Well,
you.
hold it, we need a motion to bring it over to public hearing?
Yeah, can we have a vote
Oh, that requires
to
motion.
have a
Okay.
public hearing?
Okay.
I'll
Okay,
second.
Elizabeth first, Joe second, motion for a public hearing for February 17th.
Chairman Multi? Yes?
Yes?
Gary
Yes.
Guglielmi?
Yes.
I got it. Joe Michaels?
Yes.
Elizabeth Nissel?
Yes?
Henry Williams?
Yes.
Okay, so moved.
Yes, we have to do these things by the numbers.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And ladies.
Thank you, see you February 17th.
Okay, Paul?
Okay, so the next thing on the agenda was the Copperwood aka branches. And
Good luck.
Nice, thanks.
You too.
Hi, everyone.
thanks for showing up. Will you-
My pleasure, Martin from Cattersville. If you want, I can kind of go through what happened here, if that helps, or if you want to do it to your meeting.
No, let's hear your version, I want to make sure.
Okay. So in let's see, in July of 2020, this board granted us a public hearing for August for the area variance for limited parking at the current Copperwood Inn proposed branches Catskill for our site plan that we were working with the planning board on. In August, this board issued a negative declaration for the project under a segmented review, lawful segmentation. We had provided, briefings on all of that for you guys. So the planning board was doing a seeker review and of the entire site plan, and this board was doing a seeker review of just the parking. And specifically, in reference to the area variance we were requesting because we could not meet the zoning regulations for the parking. In August, this board also closed the public hearing, or held the public hearing after you guys issued a neg deck, and then we held the public hearing, closed the public hearing, and this board voted to approve the area variance for the project. We were at the planning board meeting, after that we resumed back with the planning board. We were at the planning board meeting last week. At their meeting, they issued a neg deck for the entire site plan, and then held a public hearing. During that public hearing, someone had written in, I believe her name was Hillary Smith. She's a member of the public. She had written in that she looked for the notice for this board's public hearing and could not find any notification of that of the public hearing. The planning board ended up closing their public hearing and granting us conditional approval of the project. One of the conditions being that we sort out this issue with your board. So it appears, based on some research, that the hearing was not publicly noticed in the paper. I'm also not sure if if mailings were done.
There was nothing done.
What was that?
I actually have a note from Carrie up there that no abutters came to the meeting, so I assume that means that she sent out notice, but I can't find any proof of that.
Yeah, I mean, there should be, for the record, there should be the
Certainly there
slips.
should be.
Yeah,
The
it should be in the
slip
file.
should be in the file. I would assume that we don't have
Exactly.
copies of those. So basically, I'm here to request that we hold a public, this board votes to hold a public hearing at your next meeting, so that we can, have an official public hearing, and then, hopefully close the public hearing and vote to approve the area variance again. That's kind of why I'm here. The plans did change slightly. We actually were able to increase the amount of parking by 3 spaces. I did bring copies of the plans if anybody cared to look at those.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I was going to suggest that we resurrect the motion that we made back in August at that public hearing, and just request that at our next meeting, we hold a public hearing and resurrect the motion that we made prior to give them the relief they needed on the parking.
Yeah, we've already done heavy lifting on this and discussed it.
Yeah, we would.
Well, does anybody have any additional questions?
I do have one question. The area variance, I just want to clarify for the sake of the record, we have a parking area on top, very close to the road, within 50 feet of the road. That parking area is being modified, but it's the existing parking area, and then we've designed a new parking area to go downhill, and I believe it will be more than 50 feet from the road. But I think that any approval that you guys do grant should probably include the variance for being within 50 feet of the highway too, because I think that's in your zoning regs.
Did we discuss that?
No.
No, I don't believe we do.
Okay.
It is existing, and at the time, I think everyone was under the assumption we had an existing parking area within 50 feet, and we weren't really concerned with it because it's existing and we weren't altering it. Now we're expanding downhill. I don't know. I want to make sure that we get everything correct and we don't have any.
Yeah, because when we visited the site, it was explained that the parking would be in the existing parking lot. And there would
Yes.
be a bus parking area there,
Yes.
2 handicap parking
Yep.
spots.
Those
And then
are-
you had an overflow, you said down the hill there was going to be some additional parking over
Yes.
where the septic system or the,
Yeah, and again, I mean, I have those plans. I'm happy to show them to you guys. We did modify that parking area, and we're able to increase the amount of parking that we had by 3. We are modifying the existing parking lot only by removing some of it so that we can create a better driveway down to that parking area. But that existing parking lot, for the most part, will remain there.
I think you're modifying the entrance.
We're modifying the entrances, yep.
Putting in a bus.
Yep, we put in a bus park.
If he's look at the plans, if he's got a modified plan.
You have to modify plans. You want to-
I do, I brought everything for everyone.
yeah.
drove and walked it, there's no one around, but drove and walked around it.
I have your old one. Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
I'm gonna put one up here for you guys, and if you don't mind, just turn it to SP4. Sir, I have another one for you.
I can look at it. Yeah, it's not much different.
This is good.
This is our new, right?
They modified it.
Oh,
Yeah, they right in
says
here.
proposed
Yeah.
and
And
low.
this is where he's adding space.
This is
They're right in here.
This was all just.
They've increased all the parking down in
Yes,
here.
that is currently all field right now. This is the parking
Reduced
lot in its
the
final
parking that was
design.
along it,
When
yeah.
we were doing a little bit more
Doesn't look
design work,
much
we had to alter some stuff
Yeah,
around.
the parking, the bus is
Due to
still
septic
here.
system and
Yeah,
stormwater
yeah, this is all
infiltration,
good
or
here.
other things. The existing parking lot
Yeah,
right
who
now
cares?
actually comes through
Yeah, yeah,
here.
it doesn't.
This
If
is all
anything, by
paved.
reducing
What
the
we're proposing
parking,
is we're going
It's
to
better for the
eliminate
DEC
some of
and the
that
DEP.
paving.
You know, the impact study,
Down to
because
that.
there's less cars,
So you start up
less
here,
leakage or whatever. Yeah, it's not like a big,
Got it at about 10%.
this is kind of big, huh?
A little bit less.
So these are 1 foot topo on a contour.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just put it in the state.
Yeah,
That's the
I'm
only reason
running
I
about
took that,
3% or a little bit less
Yeah.
coming across here with the intent to shed all the water down here.
Yeah.
And we're doing an infiltration for stormwater here. And this is a
It's
stormwater
nice to see them
pre-treatment basin.
rejuvenate the
Is that
place.
good?
Sure.
What is this line?
That line right there, this is the
Oh, yeah, because they don't have.
special
driveway.
flood hazard area. That's the
Not only
100-year
crash, they
storm.
come up in cars and.
This line over
I'm
here
stuck everywhere.
is floodway, which we've gone through with the planning board. The planning board actually hired a consulting engineer, MMI, to review all the plans.
What was your
And
name?
they've had no
Was it
issues
made
with
down in
it.
Texas?
Was this impacted at all on Christmas Eve?
Not to my knowledge. Actually, I got lots of video because we're doing all the work on the island too. My client sent me lots of video from the island. As far as I know, this was not impacted at all. And neither was any of the areas where we're going to be doing work on the island.
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar with that. I use the Fisher all the time.
We are modifying this smaller entrance
I noticed the tank right here.
It's up at the top.
because this is the existing edge of parking. So I'm putting in 2 spots over there, so I would like to include that variance for being within 50 feet of that, of the right of way.
Might be your handicapped parking or something?
I actually have 2
Still there, right?
handicap parking spaces here.
Okay.
This is gonna be more back of the house, that's why we have the dumpster here, so this might be some employee parking. The main entrance is gonna end up being right here, which is why we have the bus parking here. So, you know, a group of people come up on the bus, they pull right in.
Handicap
They
spots are
unload
still
right
there,
to there,
bus is
the
still there.
handicap spaces are really close, this'll all be, you know, this is all ADA compliant as far as slope, and it's all dead flat out there.
What's the surface?
Currently, it's paved. And it will remain paved up here.
What about down here?
Down there, we have it proposed as gravel, although I have been in conversations with my client and DEP. My client kind of wants to try to do something that is grassed, and they have all sorts of different plastic reinforcement that you can do. The biggest issue with them is as soon as a truck hits it, you get issues. So I've been trying to push him towards gravel, honestly. He'll probably sway me another way, but either way, we'll be treating everything with stormwater.
Okay, well, aside from the additional parking areas, what was different from the first?
Originally, this was kind of the same width, but I had a longer section going this way. And it was just the geometry of it was a bit different.
Okay.
I didn't bring the plans that we had submitted back then, I apologize.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I have the plans here.
Oh, okay, thank you. So this is, like I said,
60 spaces now.
we altered the geometry of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing too crazy. We pulled it back a little bit too. And that was to, you know, just kind of accommodate all the geometry and the regrading and
Thank you.
septic. Their septic system is gonna be under that parking lot.
Yeah.
We're using Presby's under here.
Using foot?
Presby's,
Which area?
The advanced environmental septic systems, they're basically like a 1-foot culvert pipe is what they look like.
Yeah, and they're perforated?
We're doing them in a bed. We had conventional soils out there, more than 6 foot of sand around it.
You're lucky.
We're super lucky, although I wasn't all that surprised being that close to the Sophos.
Yeah, it's a loop, yeah, kind of a loop.
Yeah.
There's no increasing the bat population, local bat population.
No, and we're really not proposing tree clearing much on this. Any tree clearing will be done during the appropriate times. I think it's October to March, if I remember off the top of my head.
Okay, you guys have any other
And
questions?
and the bald eagle problem?
The bald eagle, we had addressed that. We had in 2018, Norbert Quenzer Environmental did a full wetland, watercourse, and endangered species report for the project, which I may or may not have submitted to this board. I thought I did. I have a copy of it with me.
I think we
He
should.
did address the bald eagle issue. There was a bald eagle's nest 0.6 miles away. And it pops when you do the EAF online,
Yeah.
but we wanted to make sure that it was addressed. Again, if we clear trees on this, I'm thinking it's gonna be about maybe 10, and we've got that little bit of work going on the island, but the intent is to be, as least impactful as possible.
Any other questions?
No.
So, may I have a motion to call a public hearing for the variances?
I'll make that motion.
Motion.
Second?
Do I have a second? Second. Elizabeth seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion so moved. So we'll have a public hearing for the variances, parking area variance.
We'll set
Thank
them
you
for
very much.
7:15.
I do.
Correct? We want to do them first, you're gonna battle that.
Yes.
You want to be first? We'll.
It makes no difference to me.
Well, is there anything else on the agenda next month you know about?
Not yet, but I'm aware.
Didn't you just set a public hearing for the?
Yeah, other than, yours is.
I did have one question about paperwork once we, hopefully wink wink get our approval. Is there paperwork that will be sent to us by this board? We never
Yes.
received anything.
What you're gonna get is notice of action with an attached resolution. Mr.
Fantastic.
Woody will be signing as chair.
Okay.
Well,
My
That
question.
gets-
No, I cut you off. I
That's
apologize.
fine. That gets filed with the town clerk, and a copy gets sent to county planning.
Okay.
So please understand the issue is we're shorthanded because of COVID.
COVID happened, and I, it is what it is. My client's very understanding. He actually apologized he couldn't be here tonight.
Okay.
It wasn't that he didn't want to come. He had some other
Is-
things going on.
Is this going to affect at all the signing off of the lead agency's role as far as the parking situation is concerned?
No, we did, like I said, we did a lawful segmentation. So this board's purview was strictly for the area variance. The planning board was lead agency because they had already taken lead agency a year ago,
Yeah.
approximately.
Well, we did sign a
Oh, yes. I think
Floor.
that's in your folder.
we did sign a form.
Yes, that should be in your folder.
Yeah.
You can copy that. But can you explain why it wound up as a segmented secret review?
So we initially started with the planning board pre-COVID. During that approval process, and the preliminary phases of that, the board and us discussed the limited parking. Your zoning regulations actually gives the planning board the authority to kind of grant a variance during site plan. They opted not to do that and to send us to you guys. Because they had already declared themselves lead agency and we had done the coordinated review, which we had sent packets to you guys for comment prior to any of that happening, we needed to do a lawful segmentation because you guys, in order to approve the area variance, had to do a seeker review, right? So you kind of, or else it wouldn't have worked, right? We wouldn't have been able to get planning board approval until we got the zoning variance. You couldn't grant the zoning variance until we had a seeker review.
But didn't the planning board do their own secret review?
Yes, they most certainly did.
Okay, so why did you need a second secret review? Because there are different issues in the...
In order for this board to make a determination, my understanding, in order for this board to vote, my understanding is that you guys had to do a seeker review.
Okay.
And that's, you know, that's from our lawyer. I hear what you're saying, because there was already one going on, you would think that you wouldn't need it. As far as I understand the way that the regulations work with seeker, that if this board was going to make any approvals, a seeker determination had to be made.
Well, okay. First I've heard of it.
Yeah, because I understood that the reason we signed off strictly on the parking lot was because the planning board did not want to be the lead agent, you know, on the project at that particular time.
They took lead agency before we ever came to this board as part of the planning board approval process. They had taken lead agency. The reason that you guys had to do your own seeker review and sign the neg deck was because in order to grant us approval for the area variance, you had to do a seeker review. And that's why we did a lawful segmentation instead of doing it like an uncoordinated review, right? Because an uncoordinated review is a nightmare for a project like this, because I can't get DOT approval without a neg deck, you know, and DOT isn't going to issue a neg deck. And same thing with DEP, septic, sewer, any of that. That all requires a neg deck before we can get our final approvals from them. So the only way for us to maneuver through all of this was to do that lawful segmentation.
Okay. Well, that part was signed off on.
And yes, I mean, that is still valid. The only thing that isn't valid is the public hearing aspect of it.
Okay.
So our approval technically isn't valid. I did have a question. Would it be okay with this board if our attorney wrote the resolution and you guys could review it before voting on it at the next meeting? He's a big fan of writing these. He wrote one for the planning board too. It's, you know, this is what happens when you bring attorneys into things.
Disagree with that. Well, how do you guys feel about that?
Technically, I write the resolution the day after the meeting and have them sign
I
it.
mean,
It's very standard with large projects like this
No,
to
I
have a
understand.
project attorney, and I don't want to step on any toes. If you guys don't want it,
No,
honestly,
I mean-
I like them nice and simple. You bring a lawyer in and things get a little bit
Get
more
more money.
complicated.
Well, it's a
I
little.
think that's the issue.
I mean, I think it would probably be okay to have the attorney, you know,
He'll just draft the resolution.
submit that to us,
And if
but
you
I
guys
think it
don't
would
like
only
it-
be proper for the town to write their own resolution, and they can use part of whatever he.
Sure. Oh, yes, it would
submits,
be
you know
incorporated
what I
right
mean?
with your entire process.
Can you submit that?
This way it doesn't look like it's all
prior to
coming
the
from
meeting?
one
Well, certainly,
direction.
if you give me, actually, I believe I have your email.
Yeah.
I can email it directly to Grace. We can have it written up in the next week or two here. And then you guys will have a couple of weeks to review it. If you have any comments, send it back. We'll modify it, whatever
Well,
you guys want to do.
I think that's a good plan.
The three parking areas that may be suitable, I'm prone to just using the language from the previous one that we've already approved. Anyway, if you can send that over to Grace,
We'll do.
and then we'll vet that. Okay.
It's, you know, I have a giant book of approvals, and it's the way these
Well-
bigger projects go. I don't mean to make anything more complicated than it needs to
The
be.
way we do it with the bridge projects, and, you know, FEMA and all that, they do their resolution, and our resolution goes in our book, and everybody signs their resolution, they keep that, and we keep ours. We keep both in the files.
Yeah.
But we've done it for bridges and any big projects and things, so their attorney or engineer will do the,
So you may be signing off on more than one resolution. for different
yeah, you would
projects.
sign both. I mean, they have their copy, you know, or we keep both copies
Well, we
together.
can see what it says.
Ours is usually a more simpler version.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, let's see what it
and
says.
theirs covers all the legalities for, you know, all different agencies and things.
That's the thing, you know,
Yeah,
our
even their ads
attorney
will
is
put it
trying
there.
to make sure that this can never be challenged, you know, that's his job.
Understood. But the simpler the better, as always.
I'll tell him to keep it limited.
He isn't charged by the word, does he?
No. And then one last question. I didn't know with any of the kind of confusion and COVID and not having all of the paperwork, is there any paperwork you guys are missing? I did bring some copies. We did authorization to represent, we did the application.
I found some stuff, I have a
EAF.
big email, that somebody had sent to Cliff, that had a lot of attachments in it with a lot of your original stuff.
That was-
There was a lot.
Yeah.
in that. So I have copies of all that, physical copies of all that in the planning board folders.
Okay.
To my knowledge, this is the application, the original application for the area variance, I did find that. So
Okay.
that's in their file. I don't think I need anything.
All right,
Certainly
if you do, I can reproduce anything you might need.
And I appreciate that.
All right. All right, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'll see
Sorry
you.
about the, the little bit of
stuff
mix-up.
happens. Such is life, not a big deal. All right, thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Yeah.
February 17th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further business anybody wants to discuss? I'm gonna have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn. Who's first?
Elizabeth,
Liz,
Elizabeth first, Gary second.
second, bye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So adjourned at,
Grace, do you have this upstairs? Do you want
I
to,
do, yes.
this new one that he just submitted?
I believe that's the one that was submitted to the planning board last month, so yes, I have that as well. But
Okay.
I'll take it upstairs if you don't want to bring it home.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Come on,
Okay, so
bring it home, Sonny, come on.
we're back to maintaining these files.
Yeah. So what you want is, you guys typically find that you take the paperwork home, the stuff you
I
want to
leave
keep, or you
paperwork
want to
in
leave
that's still
everything?
extant, so for example.
So
for
anything
the-
active is
oh,
in your
I
folder.
still leave it in here, but we should be emptying these folders.
Yeah, you should empty them, because I had to tell Art Christie at the last meeting, because his was this thick, I said, I'm not your mother, take this out.
Yeah, so,
That's why I had to go, my mother said.
everything in here is relevant. to
So yeah, if you could take it, all your paperwork with you, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys,
Time to go home.
Time to go home.
short and sweet.
Don't trip over the wall.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. Hey Liz, I got my first shot.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
In Brooklyn, New York.